Pete Weber, a calm and composed guy whenever he's on TV. Well, maybe in a parallel universe, because the Weber we know and love, or hate in some people's case, was sure to be in everyone's face at every opportunity on TV. He gave us so many memorable moments on television, and with 37 titles including 10 majors, it's not really a surprise he has so many great moments throughout his career. However, he had his fair share of struggles, and in this video we're going to be looking at some of his worst moments on television. These are what I consider to be the top 5 worst moments, and don't forget to check out some of the other top 5 worst moments videos that I've done so far for other PBA players. So without further ado, let's jump straight into number 5, the 2009 Plastic Ball Championship.
Maybe a little selfish there.
That's not gonna roll hard enough.
No, it's not.
Right lane.
Oh boy.
Alrighty then.
Come on, hit. Well, Yahtzee action for Carter. Crack open a 6-pack. 6 in a row after an opening spare. Carter in command of this title match.
At this point in his career, Weber was having a really rough time on TV. He last won a title at the 2007 US Open, and after this, he was making TV shows. He just couldn't seem to win a match, let alone win a title. It was a rough period for him, but at the 2009 Plastic Ball Championship, there was a glimmer of hope. As the name suggests, players were only allowed to use plastic balls in this event, and Weber made the show and was in the semi-final match against Chris Barnes. It wasn't the best of starts, as he went through the nose for the 4-6-10 in the first frame, but he would quickly find his groove as he threw 10 consecutive strikes to finish with a 269, which is extremely impressive with a plastic ball. He moved on to the title match to play Jeff Carter, and it would be the Battle of the Gloves, but Carter would fire 6 strikes in a row, and an open frame in the 5th for Weber would put him in a pretty big hole in this match, and Carter would win the title, and Pete's title drought would not end. Number 4, the 2010 Dick Weber Open.
Walter Ray Williams Jr. with the lead. Here's Pete Weber in the 5th. Leaves the 2-10. Another Brooklyn strike. A strike is a strike, but that's still a concern for PD Dub.
Absolutely, and that's his third. I believe it's his 3rd Brooklyn in 2 matches. So that's a sign of not being lined up, and that's the last thing you want to see. You know, the layman will look at it and go, well, yeah, but he struck.
Alrighty
well,
then.
Guess what? You can't rely on throwing Brooklyn strikes to get yourself back in the match.
Big 4, big trouble.
Lane's been my nemesis all day. Why stop now?
Pete made the telecast at a tournament named after his late father, the 2010 Dick Weber Open. Now, Pete was still looking to end his title drought, as it had now been 3 years since his last win, and he'd had many TV struggles since then. I'm sure Weber would have been extremely motivated to win this one, as it was named after his father, and it looked like he had a chance, as he won match number 2 against Bill O'Neill. However, match 3, he ended up facing his old nemesis Walter Ray Williams Jr. Pete struggled in this one to find the pocket consistently, and Walter had the front 5, which was enough to give him a good lead that he managed to hold on to. Walter would advance to the title match, but did lose to Mike Fagan. Overall, this was a pretty bad moment for Pete, as it was just another case of him running into Walter Ray. Number 3, the 2003 World Championship.
The direction he wants the ball to go in.
7th frame. Strike here is up 10 pins. 10 pins.
Man, Jesus Christ!
I looked up intensity in the dictionary, and I saw a picture of Pete. Perfect shots.
Does he have a second in him? 10 pins. And Walter Ray Williams Jr. advances to the finals. just like that.
This event was featured in the documentary A League of Ordinary Gentlemen, and Weber managed to make the TV show. He would face Walter Ray in the semis and was determined for some revenge, as Walter had a 5-2 winning record against Weber. But Weber really struggled with carry, and you can see how frustrated he got at one point. Walter managed to carry slightly better than Weber overall, however Weber still had a chance to win if he got all 3 strikes in the 10th frame. He got the first, but his next shot would leave yet another 10-pin. And once again, Weber would fail to defeat Walter Ray Williams Jr. Number 2, the 1987 US Open.
Ball, full fingertip grip, tremendous power.
And feet on the left lane with the 3-6.
Down the hook. And come on.
Another 10.
Something that has not happened to Pete all week long. As I said, we had an ideal lane condition here for the U.S. Open. Here's this solid hit. 6 pins, flies around the 10-pin.
The top of the world, Del Ballard. And his parents in Richardson, Texas, and his friends. Imagine they feel as he feels here, $100,000 and the United States Open title to go with it.
Weber was seeking his first major title at the 87 US Open, and he faced Del Ballard Jr. in the title match. Pete put up a great effort here, but just couldn't carry the 10-pin consistently, and he was putting down some really great shots in general. Meanwhile, Ballard was bowling well himself, but he was just getting the pins to fall, generally hitting them light and mixing them up. Pete did get pretty unlucky here, as he bowled a great game, but he would win his first major just 3 months later and would get his revenge on Ballard during the infamous final where Ballard threw the last ball in the gutter and handed Pete the win. And number 1, the 2006 Japan Cup.
Hairs are standing up on my arms.
Front 5 for each. Looks for 6 in a row, didn't like it on the release, and that's why 4-7.
I think right now Petey's in one of those situations where he can't miss if he wants to win.
This has to strike.
It does not. 2-pin for Pete. There's 10.
Not just a strike. That's 10 in the pit, high flush.
How about 11?
Oh, he looks good. Oh! Are you kidding me?
7-pin.
That's about the only thing that can stop Walter Ray.
And he's about to get a sea of flowers, trophies, balloons, confetti.
Now, I put this at number 1 for a couple of reasons. Firstly, this was the 5th and final time that Weber would face Walter Ray in a title match, and this loss meant that he had lost all 5. Now, he had a really bad record as well in general against Walter Ray on TV, and Walter just always seemed to find a way to beat Pete on television. He lost to Walter earlier that year in the 2006 World Championship, so he would definitely have been eager for some revenge. The second reason I put this at number 1 is that with a win at this event, Walter Ray would win his 42nd tour title and therefore surpass Earl Anthony and his all-time title record, although Earl Anthony's titles would increase to 43 due to a change in the PBA as to which tournaments classified as official titles. But even so, at the time, Pete had a chance to finally beat Walter Ray in a final and stop him from beating Earl's record. Now, to be fair, there wasn't much Pete could do as Walter was on fire and did bowl a 289 game. However, Pete was keeping up with him for the first half of the match, getting the front 5. But he made a bad shot in the 6th going inside and went through the nose. He struck after this, but then it was pretty much a must-strike situation, and it was another wayward shot on the left lane. Walter would carry on striking until the 11th shot that somehow left a 7-pin, Overall, I think this match just summed up Pete's performances against Walter throughout his career. Even when Pete bowled really well, Walter just bowled even better. And that will be it for today's video. This was a little bit of a tricky one to choose the top 5 because there was just so many moments I could have chosen from, because Pete over the years just made that many shows. But yeah, maybe you think there was some moments in there that should have been on this list and weren't. If that's the case, let me know in the comment section below and let me know what you thought of my top 5 selections. I'm going to be doing a top 5 best of Pete Weber video that will be uploaded very, very soon, and I'll also carry on working my way through other players as well. Once again, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and that will be all from me for today. And as always, thank you, bowling fans, and see you all next time. Jason Belmonte has been so good on television throughout his career. He just always seems to get the job done and has an excellent temperament. Nothing really seems to faze him, and it's clearly why he's won 31 titles and 15 majors, and you have to be able to perform under the lights. However, Belmonte has still had some bad moments on TV, like almost every other PBA player, so in this video, we're going to look at what I consider to be his top 5 worst ever moments on TV. I've done a handful of these videos so far, and I've done Chris Barnes, Walter Ray Williams Jr. and Randy Peterson at the moment, and I'm working my way through all of your favourite PBA players, and thank you to everyone who suggested players they'd like me to do a video on. I will get round to them all very soon, I promise. But let's crack on with today's video and start with number 5. The 2013 Tournament of Champions.
Jason Belmonte looking to become a back-to-back major champion.
Working on a double.
Again. 410, we've seen it before. Can't be satisfied with 1.
Oh, and he got it! Oh, he missed it on the first go-round, but got the kick. 4-10 split conversion for Jason Belmonte.
Make it 3.
It's okay. I
Back
got this one.
to back 4.
It's all right. I've seen it 3
splits.
times. We're good.
Same lane, he missed this one.
We start with the 2013 Tournament of Champions, and Belmonte was the number 2 seed and would face his old rival Sean Rash in the semi-final, and he would defeat him to face the 1 seed Pete Weber. Pete Weber was looking for his 10th major, and these two had met in the previous year during the semi-final of the infamous 2012 US Open, aka Who Do You Think You Are? I Am. Now, at the time, Belmonte only had 1 major to his name and was looking for a bit of revenge on Weber, and although he had an opening double, things did not go Belmonte's way. He left a 4-10 split in frame 3, another 4-10 split in frame 7, although he did actually pick the second one up, but then another one in frame 8, and this would mean a 50-year-old Pete Weber would win his 10th major to tie Earl Anthony's record, although of course eventually Belmonte would surpass both players in a few years to come. Number 4, the 2009 Scorpion Championship.
Coach all season so I don't get ahead of myself.
Wow.
Scruff of its neck and saying, this is mine.
There's one.
Yes,
Man,
he left one, leaving the 10 pin
Find a way to spare it.
here in the championship match.
Oh, trouble.
Rut row.
Oh!
How did he avoid that one?
Now we go right back to the start of Belmonte's career, where he'd been on tour for just 1 year and had won the 08-09 Rookie of the Year. This was the 2009 Scorpion Championship, and he was looking for his 2nd title and would play Mike Devaney for the title. He did have a 16-pin lead, but trouble would start in the 8th frame as he had the 3-6-10 to deal with, and he knew he missed this straight off his hand, and it just took out the 3 and the 6 for an open frame. Devaney doubled to put some pressure on, but in Belmonte's 10th frame, he once again went through the nose and this time left the 3-6-9-10, and he missed it as he couldn't take out the 9, and this meant Devaney would take the win and the title. Number 3, the 2024 US Open.
Uh-oh. Well, waiting around for his turn to bowl, waiting through a couple of games, and Belmo with an uncharacteristic gaff.
Well, he struggled with the approaches all week long, and he's missed a ton of spares this week.
That sounded terrible.
4-6-7-10, the big 4.
Unreal.
2-4-8-10.
The right lane is not working for Jason.
77, it's like beyond flat.
Yeah, man, that left lane had been his buddy, and even that's turned its back on him now.
Now we fast forward to 2024 to the US Open, and Belmonte made the show as the 2 seed and was looking for his 16th major title. It was a show packed with the very best in the game, including Bill O'Neill, EJ Tackett, Carl Troup and Anthony Simonson. But right from the get-go in the semi-final match, Belmonte just didn't look right, missing a single 10-pin, which I don't think I've ever seen him do on television, and after this he left a multitude of splits, and although this is the US Open and it's an incredibly tough pattern, he just didn't look himself throughout the match, and this was just, I think, one of his worst performances on TV for quite some time. Number 2, the 2019 PBA Players Championship.
This time, the messenger is so often his friend fails Belmo.
That is some of the worst luck I've ever seen, and it happens a lot, especially to the power players. Not very often, but it does happen to them.
Bang it. Did not get there. He likes it. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You could see that he liked the shot.
No.
Hey, I see this man double your age get it twice in a row. Holy smokes. I'll alert you all when Randy starts breathing again, because I think his heart stopped.
I've never seen this before, ever.
Look at him, though. I looked at him, not the ball. And then it sets in because the messenger fell short of the 10.
Next up is the 2019 Players Championship, and this time we see Belmonte on the receiving end of 2 extremely bad breaks as he left 2 pocket 7-10s, and the second was in the 10th frame, which essentially assured Simonson of the title. Both players put in a fantastic performance, and Belmonte really made some great shots when it mattered, but to leave 2 pocket 7-10s was beyond unlucky, and if he hadn't left one in the 10th frame, we could have had a very different result. Belmonte was just so dominant in the majors around this time, so it seemed like the only way to stop him was these kind of bad breaks, but yeah, incredibly unfortunate. And like I said, both players played extremely well, but it could have easily gone either way. And number 1, the 2024 USBC Masters.
Way right of target. Are you kidding me?
I should have stopped. Why didn't I?
I can't keep up.
Why didn't I?
With this pendulum of momentum, this is insane. Nope. Patrick Dombrowski moves on.
I did have quite a hard time deciding which moment should be number 1. There was a few that kind of made cases. I did consider putting the 2 7-10s in the Players' Championship in the 1 spot, but in the end, I decided to go with a recent telecast, the 2024 USBC Masters. Belmo was the 3 seed and once again looking to win his 16th major and his 5th USBC Masters title. He won his first match and then took on Patrick Dombrowski in the semi-final match. It looked like Belmonte had done enough as he needed just a mark in the 10th frame to advance after Dombrowski opened in the 9th. Now, I think everyone would have put money on Belmonte to get a mark here, as he's been in this situation so many times and always seems to deliver a good shot when he needs to. But shockingly, he left the 8-10 and it would be an open frame. Now, you can hear Belmonte say that he should have stopped, and apparently a fan in the stands dropped a pin, which obviously distracted Belmo, but even so, this 10th frame open is just not something we would have seen from Belmonte in the past, and I decided to put this at number 1, mainly because of the magnitude of the event and the situation. Yeah, he was going for his 5th USBC Masters title and his 16th major, and no disrespect to D-Ron Booker, but Belmonte would have been the overwhelming favourite in the title match. That's not to say Booker wouldn't have still won, it's just it would have been a very different matchup. So that's 2 major shows in 2024 where Belmonte has had a real nightmare, and time will tell whether he can bounce back and take home another major either at the World Series of Bowling or the upcoming Tournament of Champions. And that is the end of this list. That's going to do it for today. I hope, as always, that you enjoyed this video. There was a few moments to pick from here, so perhaps you think I've missed a couple out that should have made the list. If so, let me know in the comment section below. I will eventually get round to doing a best of Jason Belmonte on TV videos, so that will be coming very soon. And as I mentioned, I'm working my way through as many different PBA players as I can. So yeah, that's going to do it for today. And as always, thank you, bowling fans, and see you all next time. Liz Johnson has pretty much done it all throughout her career. She's one of the most successful female bowlers of all time, having won 25 PWBA titles, which includes 10 majors, and she's also won 1 PBA title in 2017, becoming the second female to do so after Kelly Kulick. Since the revival of the PWBA in 2015, she's dominated the tour, winning 11 titles during this period, including 5 majors. However, in this video, we aren't going to be looking at her successes, but rather when things went a little bit wrong for her on TV. That's right, Liz Johnson is the latest bowler to feature in the Worst Moments on TV series. For those of you who haven't seen this type of video before, I'm going to choose what I think are Johnson's worst moments ever on TV and then rank them. So without further ado, let's begin. Number 4, the 2001 Three Rivers Open.
She kept the ball on line a lot better. Solid in the pocket. Just what a great shot. Bad break. But easy spare.
Here on the sport bowling pattern. So a lot of ladies have not yet figured out how to maintain that kind of average on the sport bowling pattern. As Liz leaving a 7-10.
It was the semi-final match of the 2001 Three Rivers Open, and Johnson was facing Tammy Turner. Turner got off to a bad start with 2 single pin misses, and it looked like Johnson would win this one fairly comfortably. Johnson even converted the 6-7-10 to maintain the lead, but a double from Turner closed the gap. Then in the 9th frame, Johnson went through the nose and left the 7-10. Turner left a 4-pin in the 10th and needed a mark to advance, and she just about managed to spare it, just grazing the pin. Johnson really should have closed this one out, especially as Turner had 2 single pin misses, but the error in the 9th frame would prove to be costly. Number 3, the 2017 USBC Queens.
Along with Liz. Goes for a record-setting third here. That's a high shot. Look out. Not.
Cross lane, side of 3. Marissa. It's creating some railroad tracks in Liz's path.
Overall, the 2017 season was an incredibly successful one for Johnson. She won 3 titles, including 2 majors, the PWBA Players' Championship and the US Women's Open. She had the chance to win another major in this year though, the 2017 USBC Queens. She was in the title match playing Diana Zavjalova, but it was a bad start for Johnson with an opening frame and followed by several 10 pins, one of which she missed in the 5th. Meanwhile, Zavjalova had the front 5 followed by a 10 pin, which meant she had a 62 pin lead after 6 frames. Johnson tried to get back into the match, but it was too little too late. Number 2, the 2016 World Bowling Tour Finals.
leaves one back. So McEwen makes a mistake, Johnson makes a mistake. Nope, not happening. 3-6-10. She could have really put McEwen in a very bad spot with a 30 there.
Yeah.
So Liz will sit at 199 if she converts this, and she does not. Holy smokes, are you kidding me? It is.
Oh my. She's got to make this to win. And it's only been made 3 times in the history of television. What an awful break for Liz Johnson.
Liz Johnson featured in this event basically every year, it seemed, and the 2016 edition was no different. This event often used the controversial scoring system, which I don't think anybody was particularly a fan of. It was Johnson versus Danielle McEwen in the final. Johnson did miss the 3-6-10 in frame 9, but she was still favourite to win as she just needed a mark in the 10th frame. However, she left a pocket 7-10 split, and this horrible break handed McEwen the title. And number 1, the 2005 Banquet Open.
Standard tour stops. That's high. Oh, far and away the worst ball of the day for Liz, and it could cost her dearly. Blocks of qualifying. Incredibly consistent, but however, she's got one now. Rooting her on. Oh, in the drain. See how far right she is, and that look is way high, though, through the nose from Grand Rapids. Wow, really big break. That wasn't a split, didn't like it off her hand at all. Just a 10-pin for Liz.
In 2005, Liz Johnson had the chance to make history as the first female bowler to win a PBA title. She was actually the first woman to make the televised finals of a PBA event, and she also became the first woman to ever defeat a man in a PBA Tour telecast, winning her semi-final match over Wes Malott. But she would not manage to defeat Tommy Jones in the final. Johnson really struggled on the left lane, which included a 6-7-10 split in frame 3. She continued to strike on the right, but couldn't find anything on the left. Meanwhile, Jones managed to do enough, stringing 3 strikes together to win the title. Johnson had a real opportunity here, but she would finally capture a PBA title 12 years later, albeit after Kelly Kulick, so she wasn't the first female to do so, but it still cemented her place as one of the greats in the game. And there we have it. Those were what I thought were Liz Johnson's worst moments on TV. But perhaps you feel there were some other moments that should have been on this list, and if that's the case, feel free to let me know in the comment section below, and also let me know if there's some other players you'd like me to do this type of video for as well. And if you have enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you would click the subscribe button below so that you don't miss any of my future videos. That's going to do it from me for today, and as always, thank you bowling fans, and see you all next time. Brian Voss is a legend of the game and had an incredibly long and successful career, winning 25 PBA titles. The majority of his success came in the 90s, where he won 12 titles, and during the period of 1987 to 1998, he went on a streak where he won at least 1 title for 12 straight seasons. The PBA record is currently 17 straight seasons, which is held by Walter Ray Williams Jr. But his winning streak would end in 1999 due to the fact he had a broken wrist, otherwise it could have easily continued further. But his next title wouldn't come until 2002, and from there his career certainly started to wind down. Voss lost his PBA Tour exemption after the 06-07 season, but was reinstated as an exempt player for the 2009 to 2010 season. In that season, Voss won his 25th tour title at age 51, a mixed doubles event with Deandra Asbati. This meant he was then an exempt player for the 2010-2011 tour season, which made him the oldest exempt player on tour at that time at 52 years of age. But this ended what was a fantastic career, and 25 titles shows both his dominance during his prime as well as his incredible longevity. But in this video, we're going to be looking at the times when things didn't go so well for Brian Voss. I've chosen what I think are his worst ever moments on TV. So without further ado, let's start with today's list with number 3, the 2004 US Open.
Not a sound to be heard. Until the release, it's high, almost had the big 4. This is not an easy shot at all.
Match all even. Please.
He got it! He made it! Yeah! Can you believe that? Brian Voss! The 7-10 last night, and now this one! What I'm talking about! 4, 6, 7, they all go down!
Rounds, position play. 7-10, can you believe it?
Think I can get that?
Oh my God!
What are the odds?
Brian, the odds are monumentally against this happening. He did it last night, remember?
Astronomical. Convert 7-10 on television.
What do you think?
Oh.
No help there, 7. Oh, it's high.
Fall!
10 won't fall, Brian, sorry.
For skill level, he should make this 8 out of 10 times.
Look out. The 3 stands, a huge error for Brian Voss. We'll see how devastating that turns out to be. Another open frame, Randy.
I think that Brian Voss got his chance when Pete opened in the 5th frame. I don't see Pete Weber opening again.
Voss made the telecast as the 3 seed and would face Walter Ray Williams Jr., who defeated a very young Oscar Palermo in match number 1. Voss had an excellent run to make the telecast, which included making the 7-10 in a position round match. About a month prior to this event, he had changed to a 4-step approach, and it seemed to be working well for him. He was pumped up early on and had the first 3 strikes before going through the nose, leaving the 3, 4, 6, 7 for an open, but Walter would leave a split of his own, and Voss would pick things back up, striking all the way out for a 260 game against Walter's 214. Then in the semi-final match against Chris Barnes, it was a bit more of a modest scoring match. Barnes made a mistake in the 5th, chopping the 3-6-10, and then made a poor shot in the 8th frame, leaving the Greek church. Voss then threw 3 in a row to all but seal the win and got the count needed in the 10th frame to move on to face Pete Weber for the title match.
I tell you what, Pete and I are great friends, but when we step up here, we don't like each other, and that's just the way it is.
All right, we'll look out for that.
Real special. I just kind of watched them bowl a little bit, see where they were playing the lanes, and got a little bit of a read. So, like Brian said, we don't like each other right now. Let's get it on.
All right, Dave, I'm out of here.
Unfortunately, this is where things started to go a little bit wrong for Voss. Pete had the front 4 and Voss had the first 3 strikes before Voss went through the nose and left the 4, 6, 7, but incredibly, he did manage to convert this. This is an incredibly rare conversion and it was pretty amazing to watch. But what makes this even more incredible is on his very next shot, he left a pocket 7-10, and even though he made this the previous evening, he wasn't able to convert it this time. Weber then left a split himself, which kept things very close, but Voss made a couple of bad shots, including a shot that was inside that left him the 3-10, which he missed, and another shot on the left lane that went light. The baby split miss was key though, as it allowed Pete to take the lead and he would close out the match. Voss came incredibly close here to winning his second major and had 2 very good wins against the very best in the game in Walter Ray and Barnes, but just came up short. Number 2, the 2005 World Championship.
7-game matches. I think Brian Voss actually welcomes it.
That's high. Look out for the Hall of Famer. Big 4. God! Let's take 2 of the 4 we saw Walter Ray Williams Jr. That incredible feat earlier this season. First time ever on TV. Knocked down the Big 4. Collegiate bowler. And eventually, Brian Voss going right to it. Wow, Brian Voss is so frustrated, folks. He's really lost his composure. This is unusual. Absolutely a shock. Brian Voss, as he tries to knock out that 7, is essentially giving up here. I'm amazed.
Those made the wrong decision as to how to play the lanes.
He's fast-tracking himself, Randy. I've never seen anything like this, especially in a major championship.
Voss made the telecast for the 2005 World Championship, and it was a very hard road to get there, as all 4 of his match play matches were a best of 7 games, and they went all the way. In semi-final number 1, he played Chris Loschetter, and Voss looked great on the right lane but had huge problems on the left. In frame 3, he left the 4-6-7, but did get fairly close to picking this one up. But it would be an open frame. He did get 3 in a row, which was much needed as Loschetter was working on 4 strikes, but again, the left lane was Voss's undoing, and he went through the nose again, this time leaving the big 4. This shot looked inside all the way, and an open would mean he was down by 39. Loschetter struck again in the 7th and 8th frames to put this one away. Voss was clearly very frustrated with himself, as we saw from his reaction after leaving the big 4. It was an excellent run from him throughout the entire tournament, but it wasn't to be on this occasion. Number 1. Throwing a gutter ball on TV.
For this shot.
Does not get back to the pocket. What a tough start as he chops a 2-4-5 off the 7. Well, we saw Wayne Webb send one off into the moat, and here Brian Voss throwing the ball over. The second arrow kind of hangs in the thumb. He slips on to what we kind of call the out of bounds here on the Pro Bowlers Tour, and that's what makes that outside unplayable.
Voss didn't really have the best of starts, leaving the 2-4-5-7, which he could not spare, but it would get even worse in frame 5 when he threw his first shot in the gutter. On this pattern, there was no recovery on the outside, so this one had no chance of coming back, but Voss did manage to make the spare, and he was working on a strike, so he didn't lose count and was only down by 10. In the 7th frame on the right lane, he actually moved in front of the ball return, but this adjustment didn't pay off, and he went light and chopped the spare. Steelsmith continued to plug along, getting an important strike in the foundation frame. Voss did strike in the 8th and 9th to give himself a chance, and then got this great break kicking out the 7 pin, but his second shot in the 10th went high and he left the 4-9, and this made a huge difference as it meant Steelsmith only needed a mark to win, and he struck on his first shot off the 10th frame to win the major title. And there we have it. Those were what I thought were Brian Voss's worst ever moments on TV, but perhaps you feel there were some other moments that could have made this list, and if that's the case, then feel free to let me know in the comment section below. As always, I always love hearing your video ideas, and there'll be more of these best and worst moments videos coming your way very soon. That's going to be all from me for today, and as always, thank you bowling fans, and see you all next time.